Hey, beautiful. Welcome to Meant to Bloom. This is Brittany Clarkson. I wanted to talk to you. I've been reading lately, and there's so many things that keep coming up in the book that I'm just like, oh, I want to talk to you guys about this. Oh, I need to write that down. I need to make a podcast about that. I need to formulate ideas about this and clear, concise thoughts and bullet points and things. And I just never really get around to it. And then I end up in a new part of the book and I come up with a new thing I want to mention. But this morning I was doing some reading and I took a screenshot of this page because I was like, I'm just gonna read on this. I'm just gonna talk about this. This was a monumental, mental shift for me to be experiencing this morning. So the book I'm reading is called Sophie's World. It is a novel about the history of philosophy. It is so interesting. Because it's not just this dry, history of philosophy. It's woven into this very interesting, mystery that I'm getting towards the end, and I'm starting to see that the mystery ties in with the philosophy itself and, the concept of existence. Uh, and it's very cool. I've been trying to read this book since I was 13 years old, so it's been 2 decades. It's been over 20 years of me trying to get through this book. I've started it so many times. I'm finally 3/4 of the way done with it, which is the farthest I've ever made. I've never made it past a couple chapters, um, just because it's thick, it's intimidating, uh, and I've always found a reason to stop reading and set so many books. I'm a starter, not a finisher. I start books all the time and don't finish them. Um and this was one book that I just kept picking up, wanting to read it, and then things would come up and I would stop reading it. And so here we are, finally decided this year was the year of follow through, that I was going to finish everything that I've always started, and this was one of the things on my list of things that's I'm gonna finish this. So anyways, what came up today in Sophie's World, by Jostein Gaarder. I think I'm saying that correctly. I don't have the name right in front of me. I'm trying to recall it off my head. Anyways, so in this part of this history of philosophy, we're talking about Kant, Immanuel Kant, and his moral law theories, I guess, his ideas on morality and moral law. So I'm going to read you this little snippet and then kind of tie it into why this is important and why this matters and why this was such a light bulb for me. So maybe as I'm reading it, you can kind of guess what I'm going to say about it. So Kant formulates this categorical imperative in several ways. First, he says, act as if the maxim of your action were to become, through your will, a universal law of nature. So when I do something, I must make sure I want everybody else to do the same if they are in the same situation. Only then will you be acting in accordance with the moral law within you. Kant also formulates the categorical imperative in this way. Act in such a way that you always treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never simply as a means, but always at the same time as an end. So we must not exploit other people to our own advantage, because every man is an end in himself. But that does not only apply to others, it also applies to you, yourself. You must not exploit yourself as a mere means to achieving something either. Which this is reminiscent of the golden rule, do unto others as you would have done unto you, right? And that is also a formal rule of conduct that basically covers all ethical choices. You could say that the golden rule says the same thing as Kant's universal law of morals. Okay. So that's the passage I wanted to read. Do you get where I'm going to go with this? Okay, I have always really been like, I have found so much of my identity in my integrity. I have always believed that I had such integrity and now I'm kind of realizing I don't. In this one sense of being is, I mean, of course, do unto others as you would have done unto you. But here's where I'm going to go. This is going to tie in with grace. This is going to tie in with self-compassion. It's, how do I articulate? I had such clear, concise thoughts, like in the shower this morning when I was thinking about it after having read it. But of course, it's so much harder to just put into words when I have an audience, I guess. So, when it says to act in such a way that you always treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never simply as a means, but always as an end. Okay? You must not exploit yourself as a mere means of achieving something either. Okay? Giving 100% doesn't mean like draining your cup empty. That's what I'm getting at here. I have not given myself the grace that I would want other people to give themselves in my same situations. I have not told myself to rest. I have not treated myself always in the way that I would want someone else to do. And see, I even just recorded a podcast like 2 weeks ago. Like 2 podcasts ago, I told you, do as I say, not as I do, because I'm messed up. I didn't give myself the rest. I didn't care for myself the way that I needed to be caring for myself. And that's here. It did not occur to me. Treating yourself with kindness, not being a bully to yourself it's ethics and it's morality. So based on this like moral law, you have to give yourself kindness. You have to give yourself grace. You have to love yourself the way that you want others to love themselves, the way that you want to love others. And so often we think like giving yourself an ounce of love or compassion is selfish and self-centered and it's narcissistic and it's wrong, and it's not. It's morally right. It's morally ethical to give yourself that grace that you keep denying yourself. My mind was blown when I got to that point because I was like, oh, bigger deal than I thought it was. I thought I was like only hurting myself. I guess, well, where's the morals in that? Hurting yourself. I didn't know that it was a moral conversation, that it affected my integrity. And maybe, just maybe, it's the fact that we deny ourselves the grace, we deny ourselves the compassion, we deny ourselves the rest, we deny ourselves the love. And maybe that's why we're so out of alignment so often, why we keep getting knocked off track, is because this moral compass inside us needs us to be better to ourselves. Because I don't think I have to go out and tell you that you need to be a nice person to other people. I don't think I need to tell you that you should strive to not yell at your kids and that you should not want to nag your husband every minute. Like, you should not be irritated at his breathing. Like, we know that we need to be nice to other people. We naturally want to be nice. Like, no, we're not always. Yeah, we make mistakes. Yeah, we get on edge and everything. But maybe it gets easier to be nice to other people when you start being nice to yourself first. Maybe, just maybe, when we're bullying ourselves and we're denying ourselves, we're self-sabotaging our potential for kindness and our potential for calmness and our potential for peace and patience. maybe it all ties back to the integrity of the morals of the ethical conversation. Whoa, the light's on me. I was gonna go back and read that again. So let me look at this again. Okay. I just love that it specifies it doesn't just apply to others. Because I don't think you have to be told to be a good person to other people. But we do have to be told to be good to ourselves, don't we? Because it's unethical to hurt yourself. All right? So let me read some of that again. This Kant's categorical imperative it's formulated in a couple of ways. And first off, he says, act as if the maxim of your action were to become, through your will, a universal law of nature. Act as if how you treat yourself is how others will treat you. Act as if how you treat yourself, others will treat themselves. Act as if how you treat yourself, it's how you will treat others too. Maybe that's what that is, right? And this is all, by the way, this is a philosophical conversation. There is no right and wrong answer to this. And I would love to carry on this conversation and hear from you as well. I really would. Because, I just read this morning. I'm not an expert on this. I'd like to think Immanuel Kant was, but all of the great philosophers, they disagreed with each other here and there. And that's the beautiful thing, is that when you're talking about these things, these ideas and these concepts, and trying to get to the root of our purpose as human beings and how the whole world hangs together, there isn't right and wrong answers to it. There's no one way of thinking, no one right thing. It's all been a conversation this whole time. And I think today we kind of forget that sometimes, especially with the internet, how easy it is to disagree with someone. It just reminds me of ancient Athens, in antiquity. In ancient Athens, ancient Greece and whatnot, the Acropolis, where all the greatest philosophers and the poets and the minds used to all meet and have these discussions and conversations. And even Paul, biblical Paul, spoke there to the philosophers to go there and talk about, what he learned about Jesus. And it's just wild to think that they were sitting there having these conversations, and I always think of them as being such intellectuals in their conversation. But here we have this chance to have this conversation, to have these deep conversations with the entire world within the World Wide Web. This internet online concept of things, that we all have these platforms where we can get up and talk, and we have all these comment threads where we can have these conversations. And so often people are just trolls, and they're mean and they're awful and they disagree and they get nasty, instead of having intellectual discussions. But it's only just now occurring to me that my idea of them having intellectual discussions might be wrong. Maybe they were throwing tomatoes at each other, and maybe they were disagreeing in nasty ways too sometimes. But anyways, so yeah, that's what I want to say is, are you practicing morality in your motherhood? Are you ethically treating yourself with integrity? Because my mind is so blown by the idea that when I have let my negative thoughts lead the way, when I have not just had a negative thought, but just verbally attacked myself, oh gosh, yep, because I'm such an idiot, of course I would do that, I'm an idiot, I'm stupid. And I have done this in the last month. These were things I thought I overcame, patterns that I had broken, and I have, relapsed back into these bad habits as part of this last depressive episode that I've been trying to crawl out of. complete honesty here, integrity, right? Uh, but I've been nasty to myself. And I've been mean to myself and I have bullied myself. And I have talked negatively out loud about myself. And those aren't habits that I want. I thought they were bad habits. But I think now, knowing that my moral compass is part of this conversation, knowing that it is unethical to treat myself that way, that kind of like raises this red flag. It's just like, that is motivation to not act that way. Like, bigger deal than I thought it was. So this is a motivation to me. I am right here with you, and I hope that this is a motivation to you as well. To please be kinder to yourself. Speak kinder to yourself. Break those bad habits. Negate the negative thoughts, and treat yourself the way that you would want others to treat themselves. Treat yourself the way you'd want your sister to treat herself. Treat yourself the way you'd want your daughter to treat herself. Treat yourself the way you'd want your best friend to treat herself. Like, come on. It is part of the what is the framing, the word frame of that? The universal law of nature, that we treat ourselves with kindness. All right. I love you, my friend. Sit with those thoughts. Share your thoughts with me. I'd love to hear from you. And take it easy. I'll talk to you next time.